Hello, friends, and welcome back to The Conservative Poet with me, Amania. Really glad that you could join me tonight on this Tuesday live stream. And in today's conversation, I do have a very, very special guest. He's a great friend and partner and a really, really great and awesome patriot. But before we get started, before we bring him on, I just want to lay the foundation of who he is and his love, not just for patriotism in this country, but his love of people, but especially the youth. So our guest is Coach Issac Vasquez. Well, we call him Coach Boom around these parts, and he liked to really exaggerate the boom. But it's really, really great and all great fun. But I met Coach Boom, I'd say about a year or so ago, actually, yeah, a year ago right now. And we worked on a local campaign together, and we had some really, really great chemistry. And we found ourselves birthing what we call Liberty Halls, which is a town hall setup where we have live events. Coach Boom comes from the live event space. And so we were able to partner with that. And we've birthed now four conservative town halls, and we're working on our fifth one. So we are great friends in the space and in life. And so I want to welcome Coach Boom, who we're going to talk a little bit about today is the immigration situation. Like myself, Coach Boom, his family came here, also immigrants, and he is first generation immigrant, born in this country. And I want to just to talk to him about his experience, what his thoughts are of what we're seeing currently in the society with the riots, with deportations, President Trump's agenda, and ICE, and everything that we're seeing in these liberal cities. So without further ado, we're going to bring on Coach Boom to the stage.
Hello. Boom! Man, thank you for that intro, Amania. You know, I couldn't be the boom without my people behind me, and it's definitely a pleasure of being, on this platform with you. Finally, I know that everything works in alignment, and I feel that, our alignment is definitely hitting some milestones that are very strategic in God's eyes and in God's plans, and for the mission that we have for this movement that's going on. And yes,
this is with little Sparks.
This is my Sparks right here. She's here joining us.
Hi,
thank you, Amania. Thank you so much.
Yes. So, Coach, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a long story. However, since we're on the topic of immigration, and you mentioned that I'm first generation Dominican, my family, they came out here to America on this journey under the pursuit of opportunity. Like many Dominicans, we were faced with a lot of economic hardships and political instabilities over there at that country, and so the U.S. represented a chance of opportunity, a chance for us to receive the kind of freedom that we saw on TV, So my family came out here in the late 60s, and they went through immigration over there in New York, and they went through the whole process that they needed to go through, and then they received their green cards. I was born in early 70s, 71. And, so I was young listening to all the stories that they had in regards to their travels to America, and how they had to do their requirements to get here. And in order to meet those requirements, they had some, they were able to get their citizenship. So, through that, they got their citizenship, and, through the hard work and being respectful and being responsible, and taking care of, family, and that's what given me the opportunity to be who I am today.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So they came through New York City. Was that like through Ellis Island? Was that like that process where they were bringing immigrants in and they were being processed through Ellis Island? And, was that like the process or
Well,
no?
yeah, I think I heard some stories of that, not too depth, not in deep. I didn't get too much info about that, but the pursuit of opportunity was mainly the theme that I got out of the whole thing. But yes, they did go through the island and they went through their process through that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So based on that, what kind of values did your parents instill in you when it comes to their dream of coming to America and coming to America? Like as a little boy, like, they talked about, they're traveling, coming into the country. So what did that instill in you growing up?
Oh man, hard work, dedication. From the moment they stepped foot on American soil, it was more like you know, it was made to create the desires of their heart, and they had that opportunity here. They emphasize on the importance of hard work, integrity, respect for the opportunities that the American government or the American soil had to offer. They told me that in America, it's about you having to, having respect and responsibility and the will to earn your life, to earn those desires of your heart. So they dedicated and sacrificed to obtain these things. So yeah, they instilled that in me. And that's why you see the work ethics that I have today because of that.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. So, well, how do you feel when you see what's happening in the cities, especially when you see what's happening with the American flag? Like
No, don't do that. Don't
being,
do that. We're on TV.
we're on TV, Sparks. You're gonna behave.
You got to behave, Sparks. You want some toys later, so you got to behave.
All
So
right.
you're
So
asking like
yeah,
what
my question is about how do you feel when it's been instilled in you that America is this great country and all of the opportunities it's affording you and affording so many other immigrant families who's come here, but when in the moment that we're currently in, when you're seeing the chaos that's happening and the disrespect to the American flag, to the American soil, and all of these things, especially the burning and
yeah,
the disrespect on the defecation
yeah.
of the flag. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's heartbreaking. It really is. And it is angering. It does spill some kind of anger about it because of the way that we were looking at it through the outlooks of my family. As someone who fought to come to this country, we fought hard to come here, and my family, truly understands the value that the Americans have here and the opportunities that they have able to provide. That kind of disrespect is really it makes me wonder whether these individuals truly understand what they have here in America. It's like they don't understand the benefits. And I think that a lot of it is being driven by different sources. In a sense, because it just doesn't make sense. When you look at when you believe in the American dream, I mean, and that theme is pretty well known, and they're just superseding that with this stupidity, with this violence,
Mm-hmm.
to see the people destroy our symbol, our flag of hope. um it's a disgrace. It feels like a betrayal. you know
Mm-hmm.
and so we need to just rise from that. We need to be in unity to that. Isa más, por favor.
All right. So another thing, well, how would you describe the difference between an immigrant who loves this country and the issues that we're seeing today?
How would I describe
Like,
an immigrant
yeah.
who loves this country and what?
And the one that we're seeing today. So those who love the country, and then those who don't love the country, as in the destruction and everything that they're doing to defecate on what we hold near and dear.
Yeah. Well, a true immigrant, right?
Yeah.
I consider myself a true immigrant, being that we went through the process and we did what we had to do. A true immigrant, is someone who really loves everything that this country has to offer. Okay. It's a real place. It's a real place of possibilities, a real place of opportunities. And a true immigrant will come here and respect. It's like you go into someone's house. Like for me, when I was raised, I go to someone's house and I respect all the rules. You tell me to take off my shoes, and guess what? I'm gonna take off my shoes because that's the rules of the house. I don't curse. I don't do any of that. Why? Because, it's out of respect. And when you come here, Isamar, por favor, when you come to America, we expect people to do the same. I mean, you don't want us to go into your house. I mean, can you imagine people like especially the elite who's allowing this stuff to happen? Can you imagine allowing these people to go sit at their house and disrupt their property, their gates, their living room? Come on, they wouldn't let that happen. They wouldn't want that to happen. Yeah. So, it's a shame that we have to go through this, and it's a total disrespectful to see how these people are really behaving, because it's like they don't see the advantages and the freedom that they have here, and that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, recently Arnold Schwarzenegger was on the Cackling Hens on The View, and I'm gonna play that clip for us, and I want to take your take on the other side of that. So we're gonna watch that clip, and he essentially just talked a little bit exactly what you just described, but we'll let the Terminator tell us all about it. All right.
You're an immigrant in this country. Yeah. Did you have a visceral reaction to what they're doing, what ICE is doing, when you see the videos of it?
Well, I tell you, you said that the immigrant, I'm so proud and happy that I was embraced by the American people like that. I mean, imagine I came over here with the age of 21, with absolutely nothing. And then to create a career like that. I mean, in no other country in the world could you do that. Every single thing, if it's my bodybuilding career, if it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family that I've created, all of this is because of America.
That's true.
And so this is why I'm so happy to see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world, and this is the land of opportunity. And I think because I'm such a proud American and a proud immigrant that came to America, I was asked to do, on July 4th, a big speech, the keynote speech at Mount Vernon, where George Washington was laid to rest, and where he lived and all that, to celebrate the 250th anniversary of America, the existence of America. And I will be doing the speech there. They asked me because I'm an immigrant, and there will be 7,000 some people there, and there will be people that will be sworn in and will become citizens that day.
That's great.
So it's really a great celebration. And this is what this is all about, is to celebrate people becoming Americans and coming to America and all that. And so I just think the world of the great kind of a history that we have with immigrants in America. But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, So you got to do things legal. And those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest. And you have to behave like a guest.
That's right.
Like when I go to someone's house and I'm a guest, then I will do everything I can. Keep things clean and to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. So that doesn't really work in this country. So I think the important thing is when you become an immigrant to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back. You have a responsibility as an immigrant to give back to America and to pay back to America and to go and do something for your community for no money whatsoever. Give something back to after-school programs, Special Olympics, or whatever it is. Make this country a better place.
Arnold, don't forget.
I bet they hated that. You know.
Well, yes, they hated it. I don't know if you noticed. I tried to point it out. Sonny's hand was tapping him. You know, you're saying too much there. You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, because we know that program is, you know, leaning towards what they, you know, what they're pushing out there. So, and it's true. You know, he nailed it. You know, and it's funny because I just said that, you know, you go to someone's house, you got to respect them. And it's like, you're coming into here. And I mean, don't disrespect the system. I mean, this country has done a lot of sacrifices, and there's been a lot of, you know, dedication to build this nation to where it's at today. I mean, why have it go down in vain? You know, instead they need to take advantage of this freedom. You know, it's like what he's saying, like, look at the opportunity that he had in his career. Look at the opportunity that I'm having. And I'm willing to give this opportunity to the people behind me, you know, to the generations to come, you know, because it's just filling them up with this knowledge. And that's what's happening right now. People perish from it. And that's what this movement's all about with Boomtown. But nevertheless, he nailed it right on the money. And I'm sure those people were not liking that.
No. You're absolutely right. They didn't like it. And like I said, Sonny was trying to tap him on the shoulders, you know, to just, you know, you're saying too much, calm down. Let's not say these things. And there is a continuation of the segment. I didn't have it here, but, you know, they go in to explain, well, you know, all those crimes are actually more crime is created by Americans, not the, you know, immigrants and so on. Again, portraying that, you know what, America has criminals too, actually more criminals than what the illegals are doing. But when you think about it, just walking into the country right then and there, that's criminal. You know, it may be, it is a criminal act to walk into the country, because right then and there you are literally breaking the rules and the laws of the land just by coming in this way. So but I want to also take you into the sanctuary cities. And so now we've seen you know, the riots in LA. We've seen what's happening across the country. President Trump and the deportations, they are revving it up. He is doubling down and tripling down that his promises that he made to we the American people was that we were going to shut down this border and we're going to remove these people out of our country. And so and we're seeing that across the country. So with that being said, we're seeing what's happening in cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. What is your take on what is happening with the police there, and the fact that President Trump had to pull in the Marines, National Guard, to bring some sort of order to the chaos that we're seeing?
Well, you know, it's disheartening. It's frightening that these cities were once, you know, places where people could find refuge and they could live, you know, peacefully. It's and now, you know, it's become a hot spot for these different cases, and it's just clear, excuse me, somewhere. It's just clear that, you know, the lawlessness that's happening, the disorder that's going on, you know, it's just clear that it looks like it's enabled. It looks like it's being fueled, you know. And so, and it's sad that, you know, we all have to go through this because there's innocent people that are suffering from this. And it's the true Americans and the true American citizens that have to pay the price, you know. And what's worse is that these sanctuary cities, you know, the leaders, you know, I'm all about, you know, pointing out who's a true leader and who's not. But, you know, these leaders need to be looked at as criminals, you know, for allowing this stuff to happen. It's not right. And it's not right, especially when it comes to those people who are doing things right. You know what I mean? So we're always pushing for the righteousness. So yes, it's not right for the righteousness, for the people who are law abiding, that they have to go through this stuff. So yeah, it's sad, but you know, we're gonna have to step up to the plate.
You know, it's interesting that you say that. I do have a clip that I'm gonna play now, and it was from the destruction in 2020, where we saw the riots in the streets. We saw the destruction of businesses. We saw people who could not, you know, maintain in their own communities. They couldn't go to the drugstore. They couldn't go buy their medications. They couldn't go to the market. The streets was on fire. There was no law, no lawlessness. And once it was all over, that wasn't it. There was more to do. There was the cleanup afterwards. There was, you know, all during that time, the people in the community, you know, lost out because their businesses were destroyed. And the business owners had to deal with, you know, repair damage and all of this. And for what? And so now we're looking at what's happening now.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like, you know, the law abiding people, the ones who are doing things right, they're the ones who suffer the most. And it's really taken, you know, you're going backwards instead of forward with this. These leaders really need to be looked at.
You're absolutely right. I'm going to play this clip, and just so we could get a good context of this part of it.
All right.
And I would love for you to share them with the community right now, because you and so many others are going through such a rough time. How was last night?
It's scary. I live in the high-rise right back here, and I've seen them as they came down Lake Street, but then they turned and started coming over here, and I'm sitting out looking out my window.
Look at that.
And they went straight to Office Max, the dollar store, and every store over here that I go to. I have nowhere to go now. I have no way to get there because the buses aren't running. These people did this for no reason. It's not going to bring George back here. George is in a better place than we are. Last night, I'm going to be honest, I wish I was where George was, because this is ridiculous. These people are tearing up our livelihood. This is the only place I could go to shop. And now I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have anywhere to get there.
Yeah. And this is what's essentially happening right now with these protests, with the damages. We're going to relive, people like her is going to relive the same situation over again. And for what? Why? Because people want, and what really bothers me about the whole situation is that these people are here in the country. I don't know if it's illegals that's actually out there protesting, or if it's advocates for them who are actually doing it. But whoever is doing it, the result is still going to be the same. It's going to be exactly what we saw after the aftermath of 2020 and, you know, and those riots.
And it's sad, but it's true. And you're nailing it right on the money. It just seems like that 2020 was a pre-stage for what's happening today again. And yeah, that's a perfect example of what I'm saying. law-abiding citizens are the ones who are suffering the most because of this stupidity, this lawlessness that's happening out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very, very sad, and it's going to be the same thing. People can't get to their medication. The stores are closed, and cars burning in the streets.
Yeah.
People can't get to where they need to go to. They can't get to their work. They can't get to their jobs, and all for and what is the reason for that?
Yeah.
And so my next thought with all of this is, part of this issue for me is that we have people waving the flag of another country. They're doing it in the name of another country. So if you have such problems with America and the rule of law in America, and you don't want to go back to your own country, why? Why are you destroying this country? Why are you doing this, Coach? Why are they doing this?
Yeah, as someone who, came and here to America to build and to build a life and contribute, to Americans and to the system. Hold on, Isamar. That's offensive. That's deeply, like, that's like a slap in the face, a real, and I don't understand, but we do understand. We know what's going on. It's one thing to celebrate your heritage, but it's another to openly disrespect, a country who really open pot of opportunity, of abundance, and so for these people not following script, I say to them that, their time is coming, just like it will. Whenever the truth comes out, it's going to come. And, so to me, all of this that they're doing, of course, it feels like a slap in the face. And it's, a million immigrants that are going through this in their own families. And, but the ones who came here legally, the ones who worked hard and respected this country are the ones that really we should be, the ones that this country should really be valuing, in a sense, instead of what we see out there. And I know that it's scripted. I know that is being staged. I just feel it. It's the same stage that was happening during COVID. I feel it. We all feel it. We all know it. And the truth will come out.
Yeah.
I'm sure. And
that's going to take me to the next. I have a short clipping to talk about that. You're right. It's definitely being staged. It's not just happening by accident. Just like in 2020, bricks were showing up out of nowhere, big pallets of them just showing up in the cities that were under attack, if you will, because they were under attack.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, it's repeating, because I've read that all of a sudden pallets of bricks, just like back then, are showing up in these cities. And guess what? This is exactly what happened before. They're giving them tools to destroy cars, to destroy businesses, to cause chaos. Yeah. And so I'm going to take us to a short clipping of exactly that, what's happening.
Yeah.
So we see that the disrespect of our police, our law enforcement, I mean, the destruction, the damages of this. Now, who are they going to give that bill to? We, the taxpayer, are going to have to pay to repair those police cars. We, the taxpayer, are paying for extra overtime for police and all of these things. Why should we, the taxpayer, have to take on this burden when this is really unnecessary. I mean, these people, you saw it.
Yeah.
Bricks and bricks destroying police property, and the police could get hurt as well.
Yeah. It's frustrating. It is. And to be honest, if we're gonna, my family came here with nothing. Nothing but what is it? Hope, faith, and just to hope to build a better future, faith, and knowing that they're walking into the promised land, and then to see all this happening, and then also to know that this is being orchestrated, by your own people. So it's something that it really needs to be checked. And the only way it could happen is through unity. We got to really represent and step up to the plate as leaders. And you can see this is happening in states that lack leadership. Because I'm glad to be here in Florida, boy, because that stuff is not happening here.
Not in Florida, not under the
man. I gotta give the leadership up here a thumbs up for sure.
I am in agreement with you, Coach. Definitely. I also have, President Trump decided that he was going to get involved and not let this thing get out of hand like we already saw. And so he called in the Marines and he called in the National Guard to go to California to deal with the chaos. And, because again, I don't know how many billions of dollars in damages that was done in 2020 because of this foolishness. But yeah, why should we have to spend that much money again for this kind of foolishness? So he says, not under my watch. We're going to fix this. I'm sending in the troops. I'm sending it in. And you know what? I'm in agreement with that, Coach, because we have the Marines. We have our armed services. They're here to protect America. This is currently a problem in our country. So for them, they've made it seem that, the Marines and the National Guard and so on, they need to be going to protect America on foreign land. Right now, we have a domestic situation that's calling for our armed services to deal with the situation. And so the press, the media, of course, they're pushing back on President Trump, like, he's doing something bad. Men are walking around with arms and things like that. For me, I think it's a good thing that we're putting our services to work here in our country. These cities currently need the help, right?
Well, yeah, of course, I agree. The president's decision is really about, order and protecting the American people. I wouldn't allow it. You wouldn't allow it. It's chaos. And especially, when you have all these innocent people and like I said, the righteous people getting hurt behind all this, and we got to bring all this stuff to a halt somehow. And he's doing it. He's making the right decision. It's about standing up for the law and standing up for law and order, because no one's above it, so we really gotta focus in on safety. What's the number one rule? What's the number one rule? Isamar, what's the number one rule? Safety first. Say it. Safety first. So
that's right.
a country without law, it just continue to decay, and we don't want that. So I agree with President Trump's decision, of course, because look what's happening. Like I said, look what's happening in the states that have law and order, that have it in place. It's less of a havoc.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So, Coach, talk to us a little bit about our young men and how do we mentor them? How do we shape and guide our men to be ready to serve this country the way you do in your arena of the world? You coach young boys, you coach young people. Talk to us about implementing these kinds of patriotism into young men, leading us into the next couple of years, next generation, and so forth.
Well, this is the strength in me, as a coach and a mentor and even a pastor. I feel in all those three dynamics, So, the truth is what brings strength, and then we show the discipline behind it to these young adults. We show them responsibility, we show them respect, and we lead by example. That's the main thing. We got to lead by example. I mean, you see how it is with me. I'm going through what I got to go through, but every go through is an example to bring a better testimony. And you can't bring a better testimony if we can't, operate right and lead right. So, that helps gather, these young adults together and bring them together and just, show them the way, and actually stand together with them in these town halls that we're creating and these events that we're creating, leading the way and showing them the way and actually giving them the education, because really it's all about, giving them an outlet, letting them see for themselves and engage, because not everybody's going to grasp it, but those who do apply, those are the ones you want to cultivate to become better leaders and to become, that light that's going to be a beacon for the generations to come. Yeah. So yes, I agree.
Good. Well, Coach, talk to us about the young men that you have been helping, that you have been mentoring. And I mean, I've seen some of the young youth that you work with, young Christian men like Janato and others through your work and your events and so on. And it's all mentorship, because you're showing them how to be a man, especially for those who don't have fathers in the home, who don't have a strong alpha male like yourself, where they can see what it's like to really be a man, to really showcase, what being a man is. This past Sunday in church, my pastor, we were giving homage to strong alphas and men like yourself, fathers, and he was talking about this generation and how when we look at them, they don't know who they are. They don't have their purpose. They don't know that, the divine that's been given to them as men, as fathers, as leaders, as protectors. They don't have that. They carry themselves without the strength of men. They carry themselves, they hide their face under hoodies. They hide their faces under dreadlocks. Yeah. You can't see them. You can't see their face. You can't see who they are, their identity.
Yeah, and, what it is.
That's part of it. They don't have any identity, and so they can fall for anything. They can just, because they don't know where they're going. They're lost sheep. And so with you being in the life of some of these young men, talk to us, Coach, about what you're seeing in them, how they're being developed, into the kind of men that's going to take these roles later on as we move forward in cultivating these things.
Man, I could be here on this subject all day. I've been working with children and families for over 30 years, cultivating leaders to become leaders. And the main crisis that's going on in America today is identity. You named it, identity. The thing with the hoodies and the thing with their anger and all that, it needs to be channeled. Okay. However, you got to make sure that they understand the questions of life: what, where, when, and how we're going to get there. And when they understand the questions, they start pulling out their potentials. So this is what we gain, is when we get them activated and get them involved with these programs, they start understanding that they have a purpose. And then it's real simple, because I get them to understand that it's just like us observing nature, right? Every creation has a purpose. And when you look at them, they don't lack anything. They don't lack nothing. So if you, the student, could operate in your purpose, in your potential, in your gift, you are not going to lack anything. All this money, all this desires that you have will come to you, because at that moment, when you're acting out of your potential, you're acting out of love. And when you act out of love, you act in the highest frequency, which is authenticity. You don't have, a past, and they get that, they grasp that, and whatever you're doing today is radiating into a mirror that's going to bring you whatever it is that you desire. So when they see other students' results, it's just like, follow the leader. You know what I mean? So they're basically learning through leadership and servant leadership, which is, the best way to follow is to serve. So, I bring in this, our ultimate servant leader is Jesus. So, I learned all this from him. And so I'm applying his example to the people that are in front of me, and just using those basic, principles and using basic, scripture, real basic, cultivating leaders to become leaders. And it's not for everybody, like I said, but those who are applying, those who apply, when they show the results, the ones that are sitting at the sidelines activate. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see.
Good. So what advice, anything you would give to, because the majority of the people on my channel, my subscribers, are men. 70% of them are men, not young boys, but men. What would you say to these men who have young boys? How can they start to, be that person in their life? How do you, what advice would you give to somebody, who sees a young man down the street, knows there's no dad around? Like, how would you say, hey, guy, for you to help and try to help these young men?
I tell all the fathers, all the pastors, all the teachers, all the educators, they all have power to lead by example. And that's basically the ultimate way to activate young adults, is to lead by example, to live righteously, without blemish. Don't give them a reason to say, I just saw Coach around the corner smoking a cigarette. Don't give them a reason to say, I heard Mr. Thompson over there cursing up a storm. He talked like a sailor. So that's going to give them a lead, right? So that's going to make them feel like it's okay. Instead, be a leader. A true leader is, someone who could be a leader in closed doors while you're using the toilet. Someone who's, what do you see people like? What would people say about you if they saw you behind the closed doors? Are they going to continue identifying you as a leader, or are they going to continue and they're going to identify you as something else? So what I'm saying is, be authentic, be true to yourself, be true to your responsibility, be true to your purpose. And that will, help you engage and be a part of these young kids' lives, and help them with discipline, help them with understanding that, the battle is always right here in the mind, and help them alleviate that by education, learning. All of that is just, whatever they lack in, whatever arena of life that they're lacking in, just help them fill in the gap. You got to lead them. You got to hold their hand and walk them to that line, and then they'll activate themselves and continue. And that's the whole thing. You just got to be active. I call it love in action, and love in action is when you have a leader who truly loves himself and is radiating that love in action, and just doing everything, not for recognition or a title, but for humanity, for the whole sake of saving souls. I mean, look at it. I'm going to be here, another 50 years, right? And then after I leave, you're gonna have some people that aren't gonna remember me if I don't do what I do now. I'm gonna leave a legacy, and we're only as good as our predecessor. And I want to leave a legacy behind. I've trained children for 30 years, and I've seen them surpass me in life in many arenas, right? And they're doing, I mean, hundreds of them doing better than me, you know? So that tells me something. My time's not up, and I still have a lot to offer, you know? So the little ones like Spark and the ones that are behind me now, those guys, I'm going to make sure that they are very equipped for the battles that our country and our spirits are facing today.
Okay. Well, Coach, I thank you very much for coming on with me and having this conversation. Anything else you'd like to say? Anything, your Instagram, your whatever, anything else you'd like to add to the conversation before we close out?
Well, for those people out there that are doing these lawlessness, and America is a land of opportunity. It's also a land that requires grand responsibility, and we have to respect one another. We have to have, one of the commandments that Jesus left for us is to have love for one another. So let's do that. Let's have love for one another, even for our enemies. It doesn't matter. Let's not bicker. Let's not fight. Let's really genuinely have love for each other. We must stand together. And I believe that we can do that, through unity, through this love in action. No matter what the challenges are, we should, embrace all the families and get our communities together like I'm doing here in Florida. I'm starting here in Orlando, but it's growing. It's a movement that's growing, and it's gonna catch fire here soon because we're working together with some organizations. And yes, I want to give shout outs to some people. I'm working a lot with the Citizens Commission of Human Rights, and I'm also working with a lot of groups like, for example, Liberty Halls with Amania Saluste at Liberty Halls. That we're activating a town hall that's allowing the community to come together and speak their voice, let their voice be heard. And we have one coming up August 9th. You guys hit us up and get these calendar of events and come and support us. Donate some money, give us some fuel so we continue this mission, because it's important. We're protecting human rights. We're protecting our communities. We're bringing the unity back into our communities. We're bringing that flavor, that love that Jesus had supplied us with. So, in order for all this to really happen, and to happen with strength, we need some fuel. Yeah, of course, we need some people to step up to the plate and donate. So get on Amania's podcast, hit the DM, see how you could give us, some fuel, some wind in our sails, so we can continue this mission. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I really love the fact that Amania has this platform, so our voices could be expounded out there. We talked about this last year, and look, it's happening. So believe, man, believe. All you gotta do is believe and start activating the power within, and you'll see how things will come together and they'll work together for the good.
Absolutely, Coach. I believe it, and we're in action, and I love it when you say that, because I'm all about action. You're all about action.
Love in action, baby girl. Love in action.
Love in action.
Yeah, it's not just action, it's love in action.
Love in action. And that's what we do here on this channel. Believe it or not, this is love in action. When we talk about these hard conversations, we have them because we want our community, we want our people to understand what's going on. And so this is a teaching place, and having guests like you on to talk about what you're seeing in the war zone, if you will, it's important, and what you're doing in the fight. So this is where I fight. This is part of where I fight. I got multiple arenas, but this is one of the places that I fight. And like you say, it's not an easy platform to run. And so help does help. Donations help. The super chats help. you know, because, you know, this is, you know, it costs for us to go on here. It costs for the lights. It costs to have, you know, whatever we need, our tools. So I am appreciative that you said that, Coach. So I really am.
Well, you know, you have your extroverts and your introverts. Those introverts that want to be a part of this fight, but they don't know how to get a part of this fight, just donate some money, you know, give us some fuel, and we'll definitely give you acknowledgement and credit, and we'll send you, you know, your tax write-off or whatever it is that you need. Follow me on Instagram, please. Boomtown Community Partners. Also, Boom Squad Academy, which is our beautiful after-school summer camp program. You know, follow me on Facebook, Coach Issac Boom, you know, so you can see, you know, what we do personally in life. And you know, I'm a leader inside and out. So you can see all the works, you know, regardless of anything else that's happening out there. We just got to provide this love in action and radiate that love. And you'll see there's going to be major changes happening in Central Florida and amongst the whole state, and then so forth.
Okay. Well, I look forward to all of the events that we have on the calendar. I'm looking forward to our Liberty Halls and our Gen Z conversation.
August 9th.
Yes, August 9th. We're going to have some young people there, and we're going to talk about, you know, a lot of the things that we're seeing: mental health, leadership, and so many things, culture. And so
identity.
Yes, their identity. So it's going to be a great conversation, and I'm looking forward to it, and everything else that we've got cooking in the events. Well, Coach, anything else you'd like to add before I let you go?
No, just peace. Thank you, Amania, you know, for letting us be here, letting me and Sparks, you know, actually be ourselves, because that's what it's all about. And, you know, for the platform, for the opportunity, it's beautiful. I love what you're doing. And, you know, everybody that's listening, you know, just take that step, man. Take that step. Help us out in every which way you can. You got our Instagrams. You check out our calendar of events on Instagram. You can see everything that we're doing. We're actually in motion. We're not talking. We're really doing this. So, you know, come on through, people. Let's, you know, all it takes is for one person to do it, and I guarantee you there's going to be people following you. So be that leader.
Yes. Well, Coach Boom, it's always an amazing conversation. Thank you for coming here. It's your first time here on our platform, but it won't be the last. So I welcome you for the next time to have the conversation. And little Sparks is welcome too. Thanks, Sparks.
Bye. Say bye, Manya.
Bye, Bingo.
Bye,
Bingo too.
Bingo too. Bye, Bingo. All right, Coach. You take care. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
All right. Well, friends, I'm so glad you were able to stop by and hear the conversation with Coach Boom, who is a great mentor and patriot. Our conversation took us from the time his family arrived here in America as immigrants, and as you can see, the work that he's doing, giving back to the community by coaching and mentoring the youth and putting on events, and just being a alpha male in the community to young men who really needs guidance. And so Coach, like he says, is love in action. I mean, he's like a machine, and I tell him that all the time when we're putting on an event. He's going from point A to Z, logistics, everything in between. That's who he is, and that's what young people are seeing when he's got his hand in the plow doing the work. So, Coach, we thank you again for taking the time and coming on The Conservative Poet. A great conversation. Friends, I'm going to leave it there. And I want to say thank you for taking the time. It was really, really great. And please don't forget to like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe if you're finding value here on The Conservative Poet. We're 7,500 strong, looking to get to that 8,000 subscribers really, really soon, hopefully before the month is out. I would really love that. And so we're growing, and it's good. And so this is a place where we can have honest conversations about what's going on in our community, locally and across the country. So I'm going to bid you a farewell. I'm going to leave us with one of my commercials for the merch. So you can check out the OrlandoPatriot.com, where you can find merch, where you can help the channel there, and really do appreciate that. And I also have a new ebook out. It's called Understanding Wokeness, and you can support that by going to understandingwokeness.com. And what it is, it's a guide with woke words, and the reason I wrote this book was because I didn't understand words like cisgender or transgenderism and things like that, or BIPOC, people of color, and all of these woke words. And so I was like, you know what, if I don't understand what these words mean, other people may not understand them as well. And so I took it upon myself to put a collaboration of these words together, and I add my commentary to that, common sense commentary to that. And, so that way we can understand, because when the left is talking, we need to know what they're talking about. We may not want to interact with these words, but we need to understand exactly what the wokeness is and what they're saying. So Understanding Wokeness, you can find the book. It is an ebook for quick download, and you can support the channel in that way. And you can also learn something. So thank you again for that support. So I'll leave you now with my commercial for the OrlandoPatriot.com, and I'll see you in another live stream and in another video. God bless you and keep you. Thank you.